I ordered the Green Legion to stay on site and do recovery work. Asked them to recover the undamaged magic tanks, plus the wreckage of the blimps. Gabble and his group all seem to be out of action, so I'm going to have the Flying Dragon troops drive them to the Dwarven Kingdom and let them tune up slowly. Instead, I want the Blue Corps to meet up with the Green Legion. It was too late to come back in time for the showdown, so Benimaru gave instructions and told them it's okay to come back in no hurry. Incidentally, Gazelle asked if we needed reinforcements, but I told him no problem. Gazelle and the rest are also still fighting. Even though the battle in the central part was over, there was still an Imperial army deployed on the side of Isthmus, which was adjacent to the Empire. The total number of troops is 60,000. According to Gatter, this is all a fake move by Yuki's forces. It's unclear how the situation will play out, and definitely not to be taken lightly. Although we won a big victory in the outpost battle, there is still a huge battle force on the enemy's side that cannot be taken lightly. It is an overwhelming disadvantage in terms of numbers. Although not to our advantage, the subordinates were highly motivated. Xian looked energetic and even said to my chagrin, "Those monsters, they only let themselves get the spotlight. I have to go out there and show everyone what it means to be really strong." "What the hell are you fighting against? I can't help but want to spout off like that. Aren't you my bodyguard?" As soon as I pointed out the problem, she panicked and searched for her senses. It is also doubtful that it is too much to fight, I thought at the moment. The energetic people are not the only ones. "My lord. Ultima came to show off. I heard you won in your first fight, right? I'd like to get a chance to make an appearance soon. I think it's okay to go over there and say hello now, right?" Carrera rushed into the control room, red-faced, and shouted out the words. I've ordered her to stay with the 2nd Legion, so it turns out that she's been in touch with Ultima and the others on the communication network. I can't seem to hold myself back anymore, after hearing my colleagues brag to her about their great exploits, but I'm troubled by the fact that I'd be acting without permission. "Go say hello." The person who asked this back was Benimaru. Even knowing that Carrera's true identity was the Primordial, his attitude remained unchanged. It looks like I really was overly worried. Yeah, that's it. Trying to say a little nuclear strike magic as a gift to them. I can't believe she's saying something so ridiculous with such a cute smile. It's the yellow Primordial, it's a jump of ideas. No. Benimaru replied with a dumbfounded look. "Miss Carrera, I want to ask you one thing, and that is to please wait for the order from above. It only makes sense to act and do those things when it counts." Carrera looked rather grumpy, but she didn't seem intent on disobeying Benimaru's orders. Geld also stepped in to reprimand, and she nodded reluctantly. "Got it. I would love to show you my active performance, but I need to wait for the moment when I can make the most of it. I'll be good and wait for the right time." It's great that she can understand. Still seemingly willing to listen to Geld's advice, the two might turn out to be a more tacit partner than they thought. "Ha ha ha, Carrera, it's not the only way to make a big show of yourself. To be the sword of the Lord, so that we can glow." "I know that, Miss Xian. I also seem to be a little too pushy. I'll let my mind cool down a bit and calm myself down." While watching the departing Carrera, I gave Xian wide eyes. The other side should also have a master lurking, but we still have the ace of the maze on our side. The key to winning or losing is in the maze. Please, Baldor and Ramers. No problem. Just leave it to us. Just say it. With us, you won't have to worry about fighting anyone. Hearing such a powerful response made me feel like I was in the right place. Next we'll see how much the Empire believes in Yuki's rhetoric, isn't that right? I think it's the other way around. It's precisely because this guy isn't trustworthy that he was able to successfully induce and make the Empire suspect him, isn't it? I see. It does make sense. Presumably, it's like Benimaru said. It would be more reassuring to have them lurking among the enemy than to have those suspicious elements join us in the fight. Xian unexpectedly hit it. This way you don't have to worry about being betrayed, and you don't have to spare your mind to deal with it. As such, Benimaru agreed. In this regard, the Empire must not have fully regarded Yuki as one of its own. There should be vigilance and suspicion of what he says. By analogy, there are 60,000 troops deployed in front of the eastern metropolis of Isthmus and Worgen, and there is no telling how they will act. It is likely that the Empire will send troops there to clean up the mess, and also to speak to Gazelle and tell them to be on the alert. If it is King Gazelle, there is no need to worry about him in this regard. But nothing is more problematic than our untrustworthy personnel. If it was me, I would have gone over and disposed of them first. I also told King Gazelle about Yuki. As Benimaru said, I don't need to worry about it, so I'm sure the other party will take every measure. We should be worried about the Imperial army. To facilitate the Imperial invasion, we prepared a gate on the ground, but that was perhaps a little too deliberate. I was a little worried about whether the other person would suspect that it was a trap, and I ended up worrying too much. I don't know if my wish was granted, but as far as the conclusion is concerned, the subsequent developments were as I had hoped. The enemy has deployed in front of the gates on the ground. The communications officer came to report to us. The large screen shows the neatly arranged Imperial General soldiers. This information is obtained through the Argus, so I don't think there's any mistake, and Sao's men are also watching, so there's no need to worry about being deceived by illusions or other tricks. It looks like the Imperial army has really taken the bait. The other side does not seem to want to continue to hide, and all 700,000 troops have shown up. I guess on the one hand they are trying to scare us, but it means nothing to us. We have no intention of surrendering at all. While there is the possibility of escape, there is absolutely no submission to the Empire. Plus everything is in ideal condition. It's a win. I couldn't help but mutter. Right. We will win. Benamir replied with morale. In fact, by this time it was already certain that tactically we had won. Enter the maze and we will be unscathed, and with some more time we will surely win. Then, as long as there is no overpowering person above the Demon Lord, there will be no flip-flop to take advantage of. It's a good thing some greedy fool was drawn to the maze. Indeed. Originally I was going to say that the bait spilled by Lord Rimuru was too obvious, and it was great to smoothly get the opponent on the hook. Yeah. It looks like Gator has got things in order. For the moment the enemy has given us a glimpse of them. Once the battle power is dispersed, the rest of the unease is not knowing where the master is hiding. Spreading the war effort was basically a foolish act, but this time the other side all came together and kind of helped. It seemed like they were going to invade the maze in order, so the question would only be how much combat power the other side would actually stay on the ground. In any case, it would be strategically unwise for the Empire to pass through our doors. If they just blocked the door on the ground like that and went straight to the west, there would be trouble. That's true. 100,000 of the 700,000 would be enough to surround. Moreover, if the remaining armies were to march on the western countries, they would be able to cut off their worries. By the way, if that's the case, we'll be able to get in and out from other locations. However, places that are blocked off by techniques such as fixed space-type boundaries cannot open the entrance or exit, so they can only open the door to places where they have been to some extent. Realistically, if we can unseal the entrance and exit to the spirit realm, which is Ramrus's lair, we can get in and out from there. Only in this way, we're locked in a maze. He would have to watch the western countries being ravaged, and he would have to send troops even if he barely could. The result is to go to ground combat. In the end, you'll have to face off against your opponent, but until then, cut the enemy's battle strength as much as possible. Don't you have to warn those people on the ground? If it's to incite them to anger, they'll probably be outraged to go to war, won't they? At this point, Vildor and Ramrus made this observation. These comments are worth listening to, but with no warning. Oh? What's the reason? You know that, don't you? There are words above the door. Ah. To hear you put it that way it does. In fact, there is an engraved message at the gate on the ground. The weak have no right to pass through this door. I wonder how the enemy will react. I wonder how my opponent will act when I see that. I think I'd feel the heat and rush in. It's just that they'll let the men go first. Benamir might actually do that. He's the kind of guy who still rushes in knowing there's a trap. I wouldn't care. Because I'm strong. Yes, again, not asking Vildor. My words would be like this. If Beretta had said he wanted to go anyway, I probably would have thought there was nothing I could do with him and gone along. Ramrus, don't force it if you're afraid. Beretta, who was named by me, is laughing bitterly. Lord Rimuru is merciful, and there can be no complaint about someone being stupid enough to ignore your warning, no matter what happens in the end. I'm tempted to ask why are you so happy? But like Diablo said, I would write those words on the one hand and warn them on the other. So if anyone is too cowardly to walk through the door, he is not qualified to go to war. We will destroy them without mercy, and must show them how foolish it is to be hostile to Lord Rimuru. Miss Jean, if you say something like that, would you end up in a fight? Even Geld was smiling darkly, wishing she had thought a little before speaking. Despite saying so, the other subordinates actually thought very similarly to her. People were really energetic and looked energetic as they talked to me about giving me a bigger victory. Tensura and the others' soul collection was dedicated to me, and for some reason, others who had learned of it were planning to paint gourds as well. Tensura, supposedly of the demon race, seems to enjoy the emotional residue that attaches itself to the soul. I've heard that there are all kinds of ways to eat, but her favorite is to see the look on a face when they're cramping up from fear. That's what Tensura said. That smiley face was a little scary at the time. If it was before I was reincarnated, I might have been scared, but now I just think, that's how it is. The demon race didn't matter. What were the other demons doing that for? Even if it's okay to collect souls and not know what can be done, it should be said that even I was just learning about it for the first time, and it even made me wonder why they were racing like this. It's probably a trophy or something, but I don't really want it. That's 700,000 people. If I did get all these people's souls, I could awaken 7 other people. Horrible to think of myself as naturally emerging from this. No, no, no. In order to avoid turning my mind into a demon, I'll have to get in a good mood to deal with it. After renewing my resolve, I turned my eyes to the big screen. Looks like they're out in force. There, the Imperial soldiers are reflected in full gear. They didn't look frightened at all and began to barge in the door as if nothing had happened. Everything is going according to plan. If more than half the people break in, it will be much easier for us after that. When I muttered these words, Benimaru smiled arrogantly. We will not spare a single soldier. Depending on the situation, I will also strike. Del nodded as he listened. My second corps can actually send out about 17,000 men. We are at a disadvantage in terms of numbers alone, but we are not at a loss. Let's change the terrain and seal off the enemy's army. So reliable. If the inside is completely burned with my flame again, then only the strong ones worth fighting will remain. On that note, I suppose Miss Carrera will help as well. She seemed eager to make a scene from a moment ago, and would have been happy to play to her strengths. The power of the Primordials is unquestionable. But I won't lose to her. Ouch, ouch, ouch. This conversation sounded very different from what I expected to hear. Benimaru and Geld both talk with a win in mind. Personally, I'm a little worried too. They're really hoity-toity. It was only natural to count Carrera among the warriors, and to feel no fear or politeness towards the Primordials. Benimaru, you're too cunning. Since we're going to fight a war of annihilation, we should put me on the field. In the end, even Xian followed suit and volunteered. If Xian had that intention, I could have given the order to attack. Calm down, Xian. Be the first to see how the enemy will act. Depending on the situation, it may also be possible to ask you to go out. Anyway, let's placate her with these words for now. Kufufufufu. Speaking of Lord Rimuru's bodyguard, having me alone will suffice. Even Diablo had said so. If anything happened, just call Tensura and the girls back. They can teleport and come in an instant. Since Lord Rimuru has said so, alright. I'll ask you to strike at that time too, Xian. Benimaru, just leave it to me. With a full smile on her face, Xian thanked Benimaru. Why is this girl so into combat? It's a little hard for me to understand. But since she was so happy in person, let's do that. That follows. Rimuru, I'm going to get ready. I'm coming too. To show them the horrors of the maze. You can rest easy with me as your last line of defense. Then if you'll excuse me, Lord Rimuru. Looking combative and full of energy, Vildor and Rammus leave the control room. Beretta followed suit, and the control room returned to silence. In Vildor's opinion, this was his first job as a labyrinth master. It's not sure if he's actually going to make an appearance, but that look feels so reliable just looking at it. Then let's go and see what the enemy is capable of. Watching everyone walk through the door one by one, I said something very Demon Lord-esque. The group nodded. As such, we are about to face off against a total of 700,000 Imperial troops.